My name is Jane Schneider, and today is May 18th, 2024. I just did my presentation on hormonal control of implantation in early embryonic development. Introduction to reproductive hormones. First, we have estrogen and progesterone. Estrogen is produced mainly by the ovaries and helps in the growth and thickening of the endometrial lining during the first half of the menstrual cycle. This prepares the uterus for potential implantation. Progesterone is produced after ovulation by the corpus luteum. It further prepares the endometrium by making it secretory and receptive to the implanting embryo. Without adequate progesterone, the endometrium would not be able to support implantation and early pregnancy. Next, we have the human chorionic gonadotropin, also known as HCG. Once the embryo implants, HCG is secreted by the cells that will form the placenta. HCG ensures the corpus luteum continues to produce progesterone, which prevents menstruation and supporting the pregnancy until the placenta takes over progesterone production around the 10th week of gestation. Next, we have the follicle-stimulating hormone, or FSH, and the luteinizing hormone, or LH. FSH is responsible for the growth and maturation of ovarian follicles. Each cycle, a few follicles begin to mature, but usually only one becomes dominant and reaches full maturity. A surge in LH levels triggers ovulation, the release of a mature egg from the dominant follicle. LH also supports the formation of the corpus luteum from the remnants of the follicle after ovulation, which is critical for progesterone production in the early stages of pregnancy. These hormones must work in precise and coordinated manner to create an environment for conception and the early stages of pregnancy. Understanding their roles helps in grasping the complexity of reproductive health and the processes involved in successful implantation and early embryonic development. Hormonal regulation and implantation. So the implantation process is 4 steps. First, we have endometrial preparation. The role of this is the thickening of the endometrium due to estrogen and progesterone, and its function is that estrogen stimulates endometrial proliferation, and progesterone transforms the proliferative endometrium into a secretory one, making it receptive to the embryo. Next, we have embryo hatching. Here, the release of blastocyst from the zona pellicuta. The blastocyst sheds its protective outer layer, allowing it to interact directly with the endometrial surface. The third step is apposition and adhesion. Initial contact and attachment of the blastocyst to the endometrium. Here, the blastocyst loosely attaches to the endometrial surface, which is apposition, and then forms a stronger attachment through cellular adhesion molecules, and that's adhesion. Step 4 is invasion. This is the penetration of the endometrium by the blastocyst. The function is the trophoblast cells of the blastocyst invade the endometrial tissue to establish nutrient exchange and form the placenta. And here, progesterone and estrogen are quite important. Progesterone stabilizes the endometrium, facilitating an implantation. It converts the endometrium into a supportive environment for the embryo. And estrogen primes the endometrium for progesterone action and ensures endometrial growth and receptivity. Hormonal support during early embryonic development. So HCG is very important. After the embryo implants into the uterine wall, the trophoblast cells start secreting HCG. This hormone is crucial in the early stages of pregnancy as it supports the corpus luteum in the ovary. Corpus luteum maintenance. The corpus luteum is a temporary endocrine structure involved in the production of progesterone. Without the support of HCG, the corpus luteum would regress, leading to a drop in progesterone levels, which would cause the endometrium to shed, and that would terminate the pregnancy. HCG maintains the corpus luteum, ensuring that it continues to secrete progesterone until the placenta takes over that role. The importance of progesterone. Progesterone stabilizes the endometrial lining, making it thick and nutrient-rich, which is ideal for supporting the embryo. It prevents uterine contractions that could expel the embryo, thus securing its place in the uterus. And HCG levels are also very important. They rise rapidly post-implantation, signaling successful implantation and pregnancy progression. High levels of HCG indicates a healthy early pregnancy and ongoing support for the corpus luteum. Hormonal feedback mechanisms. So there are both positive and feedback loops in the reproductive system. FSH and LH regulation have both a positive feedback and negative feedback. And then HCG and progesterone have a positive feedback loop. So FSH and LH regulation, estrogen and progesterone levels modulate FSH and LH secretion from the pituitary gland, and that would be their primary role. For negative feedback, high levels of estrogen and progesterone inhibit the release of FSH and LH, preventing the development of new follicles during pregnancy. So that would be their negative feedback loop. And then for their positive feedback loop, prior to ovulation, rising estrogen levels initially stimulate a surge in LH, which triggers ovulation. HCG and progesterone. High levels of HCG sustain progesterone production by maintaining the corpus luteum. This creates a positive feedback loop where HCG supports progesterone production and progesterone maintains the endometrial lining, supporting the pregnancy. These feedback mechanisms ensure that the body maintains an appropriate hormonal balance throughout the menstrual cycle and early pregnancy. By modulating the levels of key hormones, the reproductive system can respond to the needs of the developing embryo, prevent further ovulation, and create a supportive environment for pregnancy. Understanding these mechanisms highlights the complexity and precision of hormonal regulation and reproductive health. Clinical implications and disorders. So there are potential issues, which include hormonal imbalances. This can lead to implantation failure or early pregnancy loss. An example would be abnormal levels of estrogen and progesterone disrupt the preparation of the endometrium, making it less receptive to the embryo. Another potential issue is HCG deficiency. It's associated with ectopic pregnancy or miscarriage. Low levels of HCG may indicate problems with the trophoblast cells, leading to inadequate support for the corpus luteum and insufficient progesterone production. And a third potential issue would be progesterone insufficiency. Inadequate progesterone can cause the endometrium to break down, resulting in early pregnancy loss. So understanding hormonal roles aid in diagnosing and treating reproductive issues. It provides insight into the causes of infertility and recurrent pregnancy loss. Hormonal therapies can also support pregnancies at risk due to hormonal deficiencies. So I created a worksheet with 6 questions. Question number 1, which hormone is primarily responsible for the thickening of the endometrium in preparation for implantation? A, progesterone, B, HCG, C, estrogen, and D, FSH. Question 2, what is the main role of HCG in early pregnancy? A, to stimulate the growth of ovarian follicles. B, to maintain the corpus luteum and progesterone production. C, to trigger ovulation. Or D, to prepare the endometrium for implantation. Question 3, which process involves the blastocyst shedding its protective outer layer? A, endometrial preparation. B, embryo hatching. C, apposition and adhesion. D, invasion. Question 4, how does progesterone insufficiency affect early pregnancy? A, it prevents the thickening of the endometrium. B, it can lead to the degeneration of the corpus luteum. C, it may cause the endometrium to break down, resulting in early pregnancy loss. Or D, it triggers the release of additional follicles. Question 5, What feedback mechanisms involve high levels of estrogen and progesterone inhibiting FSH and LH secretion? A, positive feedback, B, negative feedback, C, direct feedback, or D, indirect feedback. And question 6, which clinical condition might require progesterone supplementation for successful pregnancy maintenance? A, estrogen excess, B, HCG deficiency, C, progesterone insufficiency, or D, FSH deficiency. Here's the answer key for the worksheet. And in conclusion, the main critical hormones are estrogen, progesterone, and HCG. They're essential for implantation and early embryonic development. Estrogen and progesterone prepare and maintain the endometrium, and HCG supports the corpus luteum and ongoing progesterone production. Hormonal communication and coordination. The precise interaction between these hormones ensures that the endometrium is adequately prepared for implantation and maintained during early pregnancy. Proper hormone signaling prevents the development of new follicles during pregnancy, conserving the body's resources for the developing embryo. By recognizing the crucial roles and interactions of hormones, we can better understand and manage reproductive health. This knowledge translates into improved fertility treatments, better pregnancy outcomes, and enhanced reproductive health overall.